So in this video, we'll talk about our grandparents and also us being grandparents. So I'm Donna,
And I'm Will.
and this is Journey with Donna and Will. So for me, my grandparents, and it would just be my grandmother on both sides, neither lived close to where I was raised. My parents were the ones who migrated up north to Pennsylvania. So I had a grandmother that was living in South Carolina and also one in Michigan. So the proximity of where we lived, we visit them periodically, but it wasn't as close as yours. You kind of grew up with your grandparents.
Yeah, I imagine that makes a difference. Never really thought about it a whole lot until, recently, being grandparents ourselves. But yeah, it was, we were fortunate and blessed to live very close to our grandparents growing up. They were maybe, I don't know, less than 5 minutes away. But my grandparents, too, migrated to Pennsylvania from Tennessee.
Right.
So yeah, it definitely was special having grandparents nearby.
Close by. I guess for me, my dad was raised by his grandfather, Frank Thomas. So I can tell, of course, the way my dad reared us, that influence definitely was there. What is some of the impact that your grandparents had on you growing up?
From my grandmother, she was actually a preacher's kid. Her father was a Reverend Mac Reynolds, back in Pulaski. Anyway, she had a strong faith in God, and I watched that as a young person, and that had an impact on me. She and my grandfather had a strong work ethic. My grandfather was a laborer. I believe he spent some time working in the steel industry in Pittsburgh. And just learned a good work ethic, good strong work ethic from both. My grandmother would clean houses. So yeah, so my grandfather and grandmother, we spent a lot of time in their presence in their home, and they would encourage us to work hard, giving us little jobs around the house. Well, they're more than little jobs, but we would do painting and cutting weeds and pulling weeds. But all the while, they encouraged us to work hard. They would encourage us. They would tell us all the time, good job, good job. So that kind of motivated you. And they would give us some money, but that wasn't the motivation. The motivation basically was our parents said we had to go help our grandparents. So we, but anyway, yeah, it was good being around them. They would talk about old times sometimes. And, uh, they both had a good sense of humor. My grandmother in particular would tell us lots of stories about her upcoming. And yeah, I enjoyed it. The main thing was just the love you felt and the encouragement you got. Because I remember stories where my grandmother once telling me, oh, maybe I was 11 years old, when you get married, how to treat your wife. And as a kid, I just didn't know what she was talking about.
Right,
But,
right.
it kind of stuck with me as I got older.
Yeah.
So they imparted a lot of wisdom
Yeah.
to myself as well as my, siblings, I think.
Okay. And fortunately, I knew your grandparents too because I went to school in Pittsburgh, and you invited me over, and they were very funny. They had a very good sense of humor and just always very kind and friendly. Um, for me, I would go down to my grandmother's house. I think we would go down a lot of times in the summer for a week or two. But yeah, we always went to church. And, she made sure we were in church when we were down there. She raised chickens and ducks and things like that. So she was definitely a hard worker. She was also very good. One of the things was with money. She, was a saver, and she made sure her kids went to college, and it seemed like the one before would help the next one and things like that. So she kind of you know, it knew the importance of education, and you could definitely tell that, the way my parents raised us too.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that as far as being savvy with the resources they had. My grandparents, I know when they moved to Pennsylvania, they purchased homes or property that they were able to rent out to family members and I guess neighbors, and so that was one of their ways of getting some additional income in addition to their daily jobs, and they were pretty savvy with their finances or resources because I don't remember them ever having any issues. Not that they were wealthy, but I just believe they managed what they had well.
Little wisdom. I think that's what grandparents do a lot of times, share experiences and wisdom with their kids, because you always want the best for them. This is the end of part one. Please stay tuned for Will and Donna as grandparents. So I'm Donna,
And I'm Will.
and this is Journey with Donna and Will. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, and we'll see you next time.